All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Taylon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shoenta.
And today we're going to be talking about Vinland Saga, Volume 1, or Book 1, perhaps, depending on how you look at it. And do we have the name of the manga artist?
Makoto Yukimura.
Makoto Yukimura. Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we read in this book 16 chapters of the manga. So yeah, this book. I'll start off by saying like my impression. Just that like it kind of started a little slow for me. Like there was a lot of like kind of exposition kind of chapters. And then it really like, but then once I got into it, it really picked up and I was like blowing through the chapters, you know?
Gotcha. Also, too, the first chapter was like twice as long as all the others.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't quite sure about that. I didn't actually like measure or look, but I was like, oh, I feel like I'm like slogging through this, you know? Which I mean that happens like, you know, even when like American comics or like superhero comics, they do like a first issue that's like double sized. I just don't really like double sized issues. I'd rather read two separate issues of something than a double sized. Personally.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it exposition. Like exposition is where they're talking out loud, being like, and this is so and so land, and this is over here, and our magic depends on this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely was introductory in a very odd way. Like, I don't know if I agree with the decision. You know, we've talked about before, like, should you necessarily, like, do the freeze frame, and this is how I got here kind of thing, which it didn't do, to be fair, as much, but it is the same concept, like, showing where the character currently is, and then going 10 years earlier.
Right.
And not only that, much like Arrow, we still haven't got back to the present.
Yeah. I will say that it was a lot more, or a lot easier to stay with the story, you know? It was only one time jump, and I was like, okay, yeah, I see where we are. But I do also agree that it was weird. I was like, oh, so we're just, like, gonna keep with little kid Thorfinn, our main character.
Yeah.
I guess I do think it's kind of important. Like, I always think it's... I don't know if it's necessarily taught, but I do think it's personally important in stories for them to set up, like, the level of, like, violence and, like, what's going to happen. So I think, as much as I want to be like, I do think it's really interesting where it starts for his story in his village. I think it kind of would have lulled the audience into a false sense of what the story would be like. So having the, like, violence and the fighting, which a lot of the story's about, stuff like that, I think that's kind of important to include there.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily... I think that, like, yeah, if we're, like, you know, for instance, doing a comparison between this story and Arrow, you know, I think that this does it a lot better in terms of how it uses its progression of time. You know, I think I essentially I agree with you that it does do it well, where it's like, okay, this is what's kind of going on in the main story, but you need to know all of this background info about his family and stuff, and his village that he comes from, and why he's in this situation. And it's like, you know, kind of, maybe some people might view that as like, you know, taking away from the main story, but at the same time, it's better to show what happened than to just like have him, like, kind of like you were saying how I maybe misdescribed exposition, you know, it's like him just explaining what happens, you know, to somebody, like, you know, that'd be a lot more boring if he was just dialogued it. And
I mean, so the main character is Thorfinn, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and his main conflict we get introduced to slowly over the beginning chapters, is that he wants to avenge his father against the person he's currently working for. Is it Askeladd?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know how to say that.
Yeah.
And I think characters like that are really, like, you want a compelling character, you want a character that's interesting, you want to know they're gonna do next. But I think, like you were saying, characters like that who are very revenge-based and very strong single emotion can feel kind of flat. Because he is very focused on this task. So I think showing, like, how he got there and who he once was is important.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely.
I mean, I will say part of what makes Thorfinn kind of more compelling to me is like the framing of like just wanting revenge for against the person who killed your dad. It's like normally it would just be I need to find Askeladd who killed my dad and get revenge. But now it's I know who killed my dad and I know exactly where he is all the time.
I've been with him this entire time.
But I'm gonna work for him to get the chance to duel him to get revenge.
Mhm.
What's that little caveat, right? Honor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, and I'm something that like I like about this series is that it feels like, you know, because so we see at the end of like what is it, the first or so chapter that, you know, he gets to duel Askeladd and he loses. And so it's like
Literally the thing that's keeping him there, this like focus and the strong emotion, is also why he's not gonna win.
yeah, and I think too, like, you know, what the series kind of promises a little bit is like in the later chapters and in the flashback towards the spoiler for the series for the death of his father, Thors is his name, his father's name.
Yeah.
Closer to the death of Thors, he says something about, you know, basically the best warrior, the greatest warrior doesn't use a sword to fight, and all the people are like, does that mean he like kills people with his bare hands? Like, you know, yeah, he does. They don't quite get it, but I think that they're like, you know, promising to answer that question, and once Thorfinn gets to the level of, you know, where he understands what that means, he'll be able to defeat Askeladd.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah, that's the whole thing, right? Like, once he kills him, defeats him, what's for it then? Like, what's gonna happen?
Mm-hmm.
So I chose the book this week, obviously. I don't know. But the reason I chose it, I did not really know what it was about. Of course, I saw pretty art and was like, wow, pretty.
Mhm.
But I was exposed to like some of the later chapters, like just little like a page or two, and it's very much like it's very violent, obviously, because like fighting, cutting off heads. But there's also this underlying tone of what's the point of it, though. Like, I don't know if this is how I want my life to go, which was very promising to me. And like you were saying, I think they really planted the seeds there because, you know, Thorfinn's focused on avenging his father. And he even imagines his father at one point talking to him. But I think it's almost like rose-tinted glasses, like his father, I feel like, is almost encouraging him in that hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at what his father actually told him as a child, which I don't know if necessarily sunk in at that time, so maybe he just doesn't remember it properly. You know, his father doesn't want him to pick up a sword. His father is like, you know, I used to be a great warrior. I used to be, like, undefeated, pretty much. I mean, or else you'd be dead.
Mhm.
But, you know, I couldn't continue that life for certain reasons. I'm trying to remember what the exact quotes are. Yeah, I love that moment when he asks his son, what are you going to use the sword for? He's like, I'm going to kill, you know, people. He's like, who are you going to kill? He says, enemies. He goes, you have no enemies. You don't need to kill anybody. Nobody has any enemies. You know, everybody's just making up these rules for themselves and, like, trapping themselves in them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I thought that was really, I liked that moment too, because it was like, you know, just so telling, you know, it's all like, and you know, you uh kind of like compare that moment to like, you know, all of the older kids who are so like ready to go and fight, and it's like, this makes no sense why these kids are like lining up to get killed basically. It's like, but I mean, it does make sense, you know, we see it in our real life and stuff, but it's like, yeah, it's just a really good moment.
I mean, yeah, obviously,
Also, the cultural thing, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Valhalla.
Mm-hmm.
and I'd say that like probably they listened to Leif Erikson,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh man, those are some awesome stories, you know. But then like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, but he's not a warrior.
Yeah,
He doesn't
Yeah.
fight anybody.
Mhm.
Sure, he found this great new land that nobody else is going to discover for the next like 300 years, but he didn't fight anybody.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not cool.
But then like, yeah, they saw it as like, oh, it's fun when we play, you know, fight each other like as kids, and so it's like, oh, that's what it is in real life, you know. And just not realizing that, no, that's not it at all.
Yeah, they're so removed
I
from
like,
the violence.
yeah. I like the little kids like fighting, and I think Thorfinn like gets taken out pretty quickly by the other kids, because you know there's older kids too,
Mhm.
and he's like laying next to the other kid. He's like, "You always, you know, die first." Oh yeah, it's fine, you know, like Valhalla, I'm gonna go there. And then they kind of wonder to themselves, "Wait, you have to be a really good warrior to like get into Valhalla. Is my mom and sister not gonna be there?" Just like, oh.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Man. And then what was it? That also, like, you know, then Thorfinn starts to break the rules in the playtime too. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, basically like, I'm not actually dead. I can just get up and then like beat people up. Yeah.
He was going through a little bit, you know, emotion, you know. He was going
Right.
through emotions
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. I think that he was at that point. He was starting to realize that that you know, his dad was going to be going away and could get hurt, you know.
And wasn't that also the time where he was like, man, maybe what they were telling me is a lie? Or, well, no, I think, so was that around the time where he was like, Leif was telling him the story about how his ancestors came here to get away.
Yeah, right, yes. Yeah.
So he's
That's-
like,
Oh yeah.
they're
So the
not
whole, yeah,
actually
it's called
warriors.
Vinland Saga. Like, I sort of forget that part, like the fact that it's Vinland Saga, and like Leif Erikson, you know, finding Vinland, like the land of pastures, I think it is, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Mhm.
But you know, this ideal place where there's no war and
Mhm.
so on. You know, heavenly.
Mhm.
But I really do enjoy that moment. It's before his father gets taken, or gets told that he has to come back and fight, despite deserting them 15 years ago. When they've just helped the slave. Well, freed a slave who immediately died afterwards, you know.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's the realization for Thorfinn that, like, life is not easy here for, you know, everyone. Like, he's living a semi-comfortable life. It's cold, but also, you know, Leif has told him about the fact that they came to this land to escape, you know,
Mhm.
down south, I guess I'd say.
Mhm.
You know, the trouble's there, kind of vaguely.
Mhm.
And then, you know, seeing the slaves suffer even here, like, we escaped stuff down there, he doesn't want to believe, you know, his ancestors ran away.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, if we came here to escape, then where do we go if things aren't good here? So, Vinland Saga. So I guess this ideal land.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just curious. I don't know quite where they're going to go with the Vinland part.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like that's got to be like, you know, I think that at some point, you know, like books later that he would eventually like avenge his father, but then that would lead to some bigger problems in some way, you know, making the what not the king, but whatever, the ruler of
The army?
the army, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
they are.
okay.
The Normandy, I guess you could call them, is what the book calls them.
Oh, Jabbatha? Jabbatha?
I don't know. Yeah.
Normandy is just Viking.
Right.
They're Vikings.
Yeah. So
all of them.
yeah, the ruler.
Yeah, Jabbath.
Jabbath. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the name. But yeah, so I'm sure that, he'll probably make that guy mad. And then
Yeah.
probably have to save some people from his village that he hasn't seen in years.
I would also think that he would realize that, like, oh, you were just a pawn. I mean, I don't know. Do you see it as like, okay, he gets back at Askeladd, but then he's like, but then who hired you?
Right, yeah, he might go after. Also, that's actually a little thing that I wanted to note, is just that it's I realized that at least from what I can tell, what I've kind of learned about the Vikings is that it was pretty normal that for normal people to have named or be named after gods, but with other letters and sounds thrown in there. So
Floki.
yeah, but it was just so ridiculous to me that it was Thors versus the guy with Loki in his name. It's just okay.
No, it's Floki with an F.
Right. It's just
I'm sorry that you have that terrible name.
It's a little on the nose, but I guess it's just a normal name there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I didn't actually think about how mischievous he is and how mischievous Loki is. Okay, it makes sense. I get
I wouldn't call it mischievous, but sure is mischievous
It's
just makes
plotting,
me think he's
for sure.
yeah, it's more he's deceitful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so this Floki guy hires Askeladd to kill Thors.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Askeladd's you guys are way bigger warrior, stronger squad than us. Why can't you just do it yourself? You have this whole vendetta against him, it seems. He doesn't know necessarily why Floki wants Thors dead.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, but and I don't think we do either. I think there's guesses, but
yeah, I think it's still ambiguous.
Yeah, speculation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I would agree that that's probably where this is going after Askeladd is taken care of to some degree.
Gotcha.
You know what relationship that they almost remind me of too is
Floki and Thors?
No, not Floki and Thors, but Askeladd and Thorfinn is in the Guardians of the Galaxy, Yondu and Star-Lord. I mean, it's not the same because I think that there's a bitter hatred that is not gonna go away, but it's also kind of that kind of he definitely isn't gonna kill him. He's just kind of using him because he's good, but I think that there is some sort of relationship that they have, although I don't think it's going to end the same way at all. I don't know. Maybe I'm just way off the mark on that, though.
Yeah, I think... at least for me, I'm not sure if I follow what you're saying.
Okay.
Might be a growing respect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he kind of sends Thorfinn out, is well, if he dies, he dies, that's cool. And then Thorfinn comes back, he's oh, cool.
I mean, I guess, to me, I see it more on, Askeladd, not really on Thorfinn's side,
yeah.
Where Askeladd's, okay, alright, I see you. But Thorfinn's I'm gonna get you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's just so mired up in his own emotions over his father.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an obsession, unfortunately. And I think Askeladd's whole thing, because they have, the girl who's a slave there, and then the leader of the village that Askeladd goes back to constantly, Gorm. And yeah, I think it's interesting what Askeladd seems to believe, that every human being is a slave to something. He says, look at Gorm, beating up his slave. beating on his slave, and who's in charge here?
Wait, what?
He's such.
Was that Askeladd
Huh?
or the other guy?
No, Gorm was beating on the slave, and Askeladd was watching.
So no, what was it? Mord or I said Mord? The guy that came back for his slave. Like, wasn't it that guy?
No, that was Halfdan,
Well, there was
and that was 10 years ago.
Halfdan.
Gotcha. Oh, I thought it was him that said...
I'm talking about before the time skip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was present
Time
day.
skip back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I thought that was him.
It was a
that
pretty
said
small moment.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about, and I think maybe I kind of got a little bit mixed up. I thought that it was Gorm who was saying that everybody is a slave, but I am realizing that you're correct. It was Askeladd who was saying that. Yeah, and that is an interesting kind of proposition, that people like bind themselves, or they find, they get bound by something along the way.
You know when I read that,
I mean,
my thought was like, oh, I see. Okay, like you guys took a page from Christianity. All right, I see you.
Is that so?
Yeah, because I mean that's something that is a tenet. It's like we're all bound to something.
Oh, okay.
We're all slaves to something, and
Gotcha.
so you're either a slave to God.
I
or
think
you're a slave
Thor's
to sin.
idea definitely falls into that.
Mm-hmm.
You have no enemies. You're the one who's deciding that you have enemies,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And then, of course, Thorfinn also falls into that. He's a slave to the vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I read that, I did think it was a little, like, on the nose, where it's like, okay, you're, like, explaining to the reader why, like, currently Thorfinn's never going to beat Askeladd, because he's just so set on, like, defeating him, and, like, with no other thought, and, like, just with vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I guess there's a reading where, like, if you kind of take it, like, a little further out on, like, the characters who are immediately involved, where it's like, okay, so, like, what is Askeladd a slave to? What is Floki a slave to? Is then, like, what are their motivations outside of, like, what we immediately see? Because, like, I guess Floki is, like, the most interesting character, because, like, what is the point to all of the, like, levels of, like, distancing he wants to put on what he wants to do to Thors? Because, like, he goes to the village and tells the whole village, like, you've got to come out of retirement, basically. Come back to fight this war that we're going into. And that's the story he tells the village. And then he goes to Askeladd and say, like, hey, this guy is going to be leaving this village at this time. You need to get to him and kill him. And this is where he'll be going. But, like, what's the point to all of the, like, obfuscation that he's putting up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, some of the theories that were posited by Askeladd was that he wanted to keep it under wraps from the king. So he was worried that sending his guys after Thor's there would be too much damage to his guys that he couldn't keep it from him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's
but I guess, like,
almost two separate things, isn't it? Like you're gonna lose too many people trying to do it yourself. Might as well just pay somebody else to do it than lose some of your own.
Oh.
And then also, yeah, you asked for him, but I kind of hate him, so I killed him.
But what's the point at all of, like, getting Thors out of the village? Like, because it doesn't seem like he's gonna be a problem just being there. He just wants to raise his kids and, love his wife.
He's useful, though. I mean, that's the king wants, right? The king's gonna be fighting.
But does the king actually want him?
Yeah, that's also
that's
up
the
in
thing.
The air. I'm gonna go with what Askeladd said, which was that he's just too powerful. That's why he hired him. It was like the damage would have been just too great.
Yeah.
And seeing what happened, that seems pretty clear.
Yeah, he does have a legend, he is somewhat legendary as a troll.
Thor's the troll.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the kind of the question is also, like, how did they find out that he's just been hanging out in this village after he deserted them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody must have...
And when did they decide to do something about it?
Someone must have snitched.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean,
It was probably Halfdan. If I had to put a name of anybody we've met so far, it was probably Halfdan.
yeah, that makes sense.
Halfdan
would've
just
been
going
like-
around being like, I hate Thors!
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, who?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and especially, like, I guess one possibility is also that it could have been by accident, just because, like, you know, they've said that they have to go to the mainland to get wine, you know, to trade. So it's like, you know, just like kind of like casually, yeah, these are sheeps that Thor has raised. Who? Who? So yeah.
Alright, I gotcha.
So really anybody could have sold them out on accident, but
Mm-hmm.
also, yeah, Halfdan is a pretty good
Yeah.
I guess.
He's just so, like, malicious for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like,
Smashing
A,
you with
slave
chains.
owner.
Well,
B, like, yeah, this guy's about to die for being outside in a blizzard all night, but I want to bring him back to where I was at, just so I can punish him more.
so are you saying
Torture him.
that he was not the one that said we're all slaves to something? We're bound by the law?
That's the 10 years ago thing.
So two people
Oh, yeah,
said that.
because,
Past.
yeah,
Halfdan's in the past, so Halfdan's for like a lot older
I forgot
now.
he's just whipping that chain around
Yeah.
all the time. It's like, oh, this chain
whip-
is the law. I
Yeah.
am the law.
Okay,
He
so,
literally like wraps his chain around one of his men and then just like
Mm.
pulls it apart.
So my question is then, are we saying two people said that?
Well, no,
No,
not quite.
one person said it, and that was Askeladd. Askeladd said that in the present,
Right.
when he's back at the village he always likes to be at, and the
Mhm.
leader of that village is Gorm, who happens to have a slave who he bought because she's pretty, but she's a noble woman, so
Mhm.
she's not being a very good slave. And so he spends all his time, like, you know, disciplining her or whatever, like, in front of other people.
Mhm.
And, like,
Oh,
Askeladd's like, just
oh right,
here
okay.
he goes again.
Okay, so Halfdan's the guy that's like, chains make people a man. That's, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I must enslave you.
Yeah. It's like nothing,
I mean, I
nothing
guess,
more
yeah,
perfect
it's-
than a chain around a neck. I think that's what he said.
Then do it to yourself! Are you not a man?
I guess, yeah, you could call it a literary device where it's like all these people are saying different things that all lead into
Mhm.
basically the same thing,
Mhm.
like the same greater concept.
Mm-hmm.
Such a Mortal Kombat character.
Oh man, he is for it's no reason.
Yeah. Also, speaking earlier of like weird names, like Halfdan, like
Mhm.
is that supposed to like imply like my dad's name was Dan, but I'm only half Dan? Like,
I listen, one of the characters is named Leaf, alright?
Mhm. But to be fair, though, as far as I know, Leaf is an actual person.
well, yeah, I mean definitely.
Well yeah, but Leaf is also a thing that comes off of a tree.
Not spelled
Okay.
like that, though.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are judging this other culture's names very strongly.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll give them Floki, okay?
There's a guy called Gorm.
Floki is where you're gonna be okay with it?
Me? No. No, I give you guys Floki, as in, like, yes.
Is it-
It's dumb, yes.
Oh, okay, it's weird.
But not Leaf. I will.
Not- okay. Leaf is fine. Floki
Yes.
is weird. Gotcha. But anyway.
I mean, we
No,
should say
if I-
this is the 11th century.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, names were different back then.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
guess.
was like 1010 and 1020, yeah?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes,
there,
that's what the 11th century was,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's always weird, where it's like the 11th, but it's actually like the year 1000,
Mm-hmm.
True. Also,
which,
Why?
but it's,
Why?
Well, because you're not gonna.
well,
you
because
start
like
at
0 to 99 is going to be the first century,
Yeah.
but
I just hate it.
yeah. Should
It-
have just
yeah,
called it the
it-
0th century. But anyway, go off of nomenclature of all kinds. Do you think that in the present time, the war that Thors was supposed to fight in is still going on? Or do you think, because like we see that the Franks are just kind of like, kind of having like a civil war kind of thing going on, but
honestly, like I thought that Floki, you say Floki, right? Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, or basically, yeah.
I thought that he was making that up. Like I didn't think that it was an actual thing.
Oh no, I think that there was an
Well,
actual
we
war.
saw the slaughter.
Right, but
Like,
wasn't that
We saw the English.
okay? True. I do I do recognize we did see that. I just I wasn't thinking that Floki was telling the truth, that there was actually the king wanted him there.
Oh,
It is, well, we don't know about that. We don't know if the king wanted Thors at all.
yeah.
We don't know if Floki just used it as excuse time. But I do like his comment, like, oh yeah, the king's sister died during that, like, raid by the English.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we thought that's kind of a cool excuse to have a war.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no. So as I remembered it as like it gave. I wasn't sure if it gave him an excuse or like his side an excuse. I thought it was the Franks.
No. The Franks.
It's Danish versus English.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Danes are the Vikings,
Okay.
and yeah, the English are the English, and the
Mhm.
Franks are essentially
Gotcha.
German.
Mm-hmm. So am I wrong in that Helga, who is Thor's wife, is also the king's daughter of Floki?
So she's just a daughter of a chieftain.
Yeah.
So I thought it was specifically Floki's chieftain.
No, I don't think that was clear if that happens to be the case.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they would have made a bigger deal if that was the case.
I'm sure they'll get elaborated on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, although it would make sense because, I'm sure the chieftain was like, you are a great warrior. Yeah, you can have my daughter.
There's only so many villages out there.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
small world.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Mm.
Yeah, that was that part with all of the young boys going off on the ship, and they're all proposing to Thorfinn.
I thought that was hilarious.
Ylva. I love her being like, am I the only young woman in this village? Can I go back to sleep now?
Yeah.
So when the first
Ylva, wait! Like, just all of them walking up.
when the first guy, I think his name is Ari, asked her,
Yeah.
she was like, huh? And she's like still sleepy. And I was like, bro, that doesn't sound like a good thing. Like, why do you want to marry this person? And then after everyone else asked her, I was like, oh, okay, so they don't know her at all. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know her, but it's just like the prettiest girl in the village
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, the prettiest / only girl
Mhm.
in the village.
Mhm.
she's probably the only one around that age or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody had
She's at least
had
like
a moment.
15, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, probably exactly 15, because basically Thor is left
Mhm.
right after she was born. So either 15 or 16.
Yeah. I actually, I will say I like that scene where Helga gave birth to Thor's daughter, and she's like, give her a name.
And he's like, what is this thing?
He's like, I don't have time for that. And she gets up, and she's like, give her a name.
Yeah, not to mention, like, they were saying she looks like she's on her deathbed because, giving birth was so hard back then.
Mhm.
So she's just,
Yeah,
despite it all.
I assume it's like, no, the man gives the name, like, as customary. So it's like it's like dishonoring if you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it could be that. It could be custom, but it could also...
It's just also, like, forcing him to have any interest in the child he just, like, that was just born.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like,
Okay.
yeah. Kind of like, I just did all of this work, like 9 months of work, and then like the work of labor. Like the least you can do is have some creativity and come up with a name. Like,
I'm gonna say I don't think that's it.
I don't know. Okay, it's definitely not in the text, so it's up to interpretation.
True.
But yeah, it was a good scene though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I will say, like, I think it wasn't until let's see if I can find it. Probably chapter 2. I don't know. I did not know what was going on until like at least chapter 2. Like, I was like reading it. I'm like going in, going out, you know. So like pretty much anything in the present day, like I know, like, very more towards the end.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of like they were kind of like making plans and stuff, like making deals, and it was like, oh yeah, you know.
But also double crossing.
Yeah, double crossing. How important is this Frank? You know, the Frankish leader that's trying to like take down this fortress. You know, is he going to be a character that sticks around? No, he's not. He's a means to an end. So yeah,
I don't know.
I can understand a little bit of the confusion towards the beginning.
I have a feeling like a lot of the characters in the present day are going to come back. You know, around too.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah, I guess I could see that too. I kind of just wrote him off, but when you really think about it, yeah, I could see him coming back.
Pretty distinctive character.
That's a good point. Yeah, that, you know, I will say the battle scenes in the those chapters were really cool, where it was just like, you know, the tides turning, kind of, where it's like, this isn't going to work out for us, and then they're all like, you know, and Thorfinn just like climbing the wall to get the leader's head. It's just all pretty cool.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yes, so it was definitely not Halfdan who said that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, earlier. Right.
Yeah. I specifically noted Romans 16:15-19.
Gotcha. Yeah. Going back to like the earlier chapters, and like, you know, Shuanta, you mentioned before the art, you know, it was like really like highly detailed in a way that I don't know, not that I wasn't expecting, because I didn't have any expectations, but I was just surprised. I was like, wow, this is like, you know, really like fine detail work.
It's amazing what you can do with black and white.
Yeah,
so it's like, I don't know. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of like super cartoony expressions, which they definitely get to like some of the manga expressions for sure. Like silly a little bit, but I think that's actually a good contrast to, you know, these very intense moments.
Yeah,
gotcha,
for sure. Yeah, I did notice that towards the end, where I was like, oh, there's like the first time I've seen like true, like, you know, anime eyes, like, you know, on a girl, you know. It's like,
gotcha. I will say, like, what the panel with the most detail that, like, I was like, whoa, was I think his name is Bjorn, where he took like the berserker mushroom and he was like
mushrooms,
and I was like, whoa.
That was cool. I was like,
yeah.
Yeah. In those opening chapters, though, I was getting the feeling, I know that they have an anime for this, and I don't know how long running or how recent it is or anything.
It's pretty recent.
Okay.
It's within the last year.
Okay.
Oh wow.
But like I was getting the feeling, I was like, if this art wasn't like so good, I would almost wish that this was animated more than reading it, because like, you know, that's what, like, the action was just so like, I don't know, it just felt like it would be better to see it than, because, you know, they were using like really good use of sound effects, you know, on the page, like onomatopoeia, and I was like, wow, this is like, you know, I just feel like I'd rather hear it though. But then it got like, you know, as it progressed and got more details in the story, it was enjoyable to read, of course.
Gotcha. It's
It's a pretty gorgeous anime from what I remember.
oh yeah.
I haven't actually watched it because, like, I don't know.
Gotcha. So yeah, so we mentioned there was a female slave at the beginning of the story. Her name is Hordaland, and so from what we know, she's like an ex-princess, so she does not know how to be a slave.
Yeah, not quite a princess, but
Just a noble.
No,
yeah.
Gotcha. Mhm.
She's from the upper class and then shot straight down to the bottom class.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And yeah, so she's always like dropping things, and I think Javeth is like, "Why are you doing that?" Or was it somebody else?
What is that?
Gorm.
Gorm.
Is-
Yeah.
I definitely did not note Gorm at all, so I missed that.
I thought that Gorm was even Askeladd's uncle.
Don't know if they're related.
Okay.
I sure didn't note anything of that sort.
I didn't make special note of it because I just remember somebody saying like uncle, because honestly it's because it reminded me of Avatar: The Last Airbender and Zuko. So
Yeah.
so it's just like that's
Might just be endearing.
mhm,
It's better than Grandpa.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
like Unk.
Mm. Yeah, perhaps we'll have to look
I
into
see.
it. But yeah, so I thought they were related, but
Yeah, so near the end of the chapter 2, Hordaland Thorfinn is out on a boat, and he's supposed to be keeping watch, but he's kind of curled up in a ball, not really doing his job.
Being a baby because he
Mhm.
just lost a fight against Askeladd.
Yeah. And so she comes up to him, and basically he's just like, if I were you, I would just kill my, master and then run away, And she's like, where would I go? Which is kind of, I don't know, that just reminded me of young Thorfinn being like, if this is heaven, like, where do we go,
mm-hmm.
But,
I mean, it is also
does feel like that.
like Thorfinn gives that advice, completely ignoring that that's what he can't do
yeah.
to Askeladd.
She goes, I can't kill anybody.
Mhm.
I could never do that. And then also, where would I go?
Mhm.
Yeah, kind of thing. Can you run from your problems?
Yeah. And then she said, I just thought we were so similar. And I was like, what does that mean? I was like, and I don't know, I think reading chapter 3, I thought there was somebody that looked like her as like a young kid. And I was like, was she in Vinland?
No, neither of them
she's
were in Vinland.
pretty noble.
Vinland is not Iceland.
It's
Vinland
not.
is Canada.
No, yeah, Vinland is Canada.
Oh, okay. So they're in Reykjavik. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
This whole time, I thought they were in Vinland.
Sure would be nice if they're in Vinland already. Although, why would Leif Erikson go to discover the place they're already in?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking. He discovered it, and then they settled there.
I mean, technically yes, but he had been to Vinland.
Not yet.
Also.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I see. So yeah, I thought.
No, I do think like some of the designs are. I definitely can see like some of the girls are a little bit like hard to tell the difference between.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the girls
think
are a little same facey,
Yeah.
but like probably honestly because they don't get like unique facial hair for everybody like some of the Vikings do. Like Leif has that weird mustache.
Mm.
I
Like
think
some of the
also
other ones
just
have
because
like
they're
weird
young,
beards.
they're
Mhm.
not willing to like do wrinkles yet.
But also too, like Helga and Ylva, who's Ylva is Thor's daughter. There was one panel in particular where I was like, "Oh wow, that he just changed their hairstyle."
yeah, probably. Yeah, no, I think that what I I think I almost thought the same thought that you did, Talon, where I was like, oh, does she like secretly know Thorfinn? Are they like secretly like, not related, but from the same cohort kind of thing. But then I was like, no, she's definitely from a different place and even a different social standing for that matter. Not that Thorfinn was like in a low social standing when he was in his village, but he's a villager,
Yeah, he's just a sheep herder.
Yeah. So,
a well-off sheep herder.
Well, yeah. Okay. Anyway, though, but yeah, I think what they meant their current standing, where she's a slave and he is kind of like, he's basically just serving this crew of pirates, in his own way for his own reasons, and maybe it kind of ties into Askeladd like saying that everybody's a slave. It's like he has his own reason that he can't just escape.
So were you thinking that was more of a sarcastic comment, like?
No, I think that she really did.
From who?
From the slave.
Horderland. Her saying,
"Oh,
I thought you were so similar."
I mean, I think she was being very genuine.
Yeah.
I do like how Thorfinn like reacts very defensively. Like, I wouldn't know how to slave things.
Yeah.
I'm my own man. I'm a free man. Anyway,
Gotcha.
I gotta stay here.
Yeah. I guess so. Like, to me, like how you were phrasing it, Cody, it sounded like pretending like we were in that scene. It sounded almost like she said it in a way, in like a, oh, I just thought we were so similar.
Right, yeah. I mean, that might have been, like, kind of like, basically it's definitely going to make Thorfinn sore if she pushes it anymore. So it's like, sorry for bothering you, I thought that we could get along,
I see, gotcha.
I think since she's noble, I wonder if she's not used to people not just taking what she says and, like, dealing with it.
Gotcha. I honestly thought I wrote this down, but I guess I didn't. So like when she said that, so I said foreshadowing. That's it. And so in my head I was like, so is this gonna be one of those things where like they escape together, like, or like they're gonna have some adventures together? Is that it?
Oh yeah, I think that part of Thorfinn's journey is going to be like, basically recognizing her as a person, first of all, and then probably, like, more so, like, as a friend, and possibly even a love interest, I would say it would be likely, because that's how these kind of stories work out a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, as it stands, I think the only other female characters that we meet are his sister and his mom.
Yeah.
So, strong chance that that's a future love interest.
Wait, I'd take that as a challenge. Let me think of some.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can remember any, I would welcome it. But
yeah, currently
you guys should read volume 2.
Yeah.
I say as someone who has not read it yet.
There we go. A love triangle. There we go. Enter volume 2.
Yeah.
No, just.
Well, you guys are saying there's only like a few female characters.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna promise that they start to look different, but there's some violent ones.
Yeah. Also, so this is kind of just jumping to something totally different, but I was gonna say that, like, and now before I say this too, I'll say that I'm not like just like completely judging the story or even like Thorfinn, because like I understand he was like 6 years old when his dad died, but like the difference between like you took advantage of of my dad because by like one of your men took me hostage. I'm like, okay, that's like admirable for like revenge, that's pretty messed up. And then like we actually go to the scene and he's like, basically they're having like their duel and it's going like normal and Thor's probably gonna win, and then like
Oh, Thors did win.
Thors did win, and then Thorfinn's like, Dad,
Yeah.
Dad, this all the time. I'm like, Thorfinn, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, and
He wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah, and so that's why I qualify it with I understand he was a little kid, and little kids don't know better, but like also,
Yeah.
like,
what was that?
I think his dad definitely would have still died, though.
you think?
I mean, maybe it was still a close fight, but like that whole setup does remind me of like kind of Batman Earth 1, where like the origin story changes, where like Bruce Wayne runs into Joe Chill and then tells him like, you better be sorry for running into me. I'm the son of like the richest family in Gotham. And it's like, wow, if you didn't say anything, your parents would probably still be alive. But like it adds to the revenge quest, where it's like, yeah, you want to get revenge on this person, and you probably think that'll make you feel better, but it won't actually, because it's mostly your fault.
Gotcha.
I think if you decide to kill somebody when you're like 6, and then 10 years pass, I think that's just your life now.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what Batman tried to tell Robin.
Is it?
In Batman...
Yeah, kind
Forever?
of, actually.
Yeah, Batman Forever. There we go.
Okay. Sure, I'll just accept that as fact. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't think Robin was 6, though.
No, he was like
He wasn't
16.
much older.
Yeah, he's probably 8. So yeah.
Not in Batman
Judging
Forever.
Batman.
Anyway, but yeah, that was just a part that like kind of got me. Where it was just like that wasn't. I mean, that wasn't explained in the way, or not that it wasn't explained in the way that it should have, but it wasn't. Because of the way that it was explained originally, it's not the way that it went down that I thought it was.
Yeah, I will say, like, I think, like, before they started dueling, or sometime in that, like, they see Askeladd, and then Thorfinn's like, my dad's gonna get you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop. You're being stupid right now. Stop it. It's like, I get that I'm supposed to be amused. I'm not.
Well, I mean, I
hate that child.
Yeah. I think there is an element of, like, since they told us in the previous chapter how this is gonna go down, you know, there is gonna be like a almost a cringe, you know.
Gotcha.
It is supposed to be a little cringy, where it's like, you know, like, kid, you don't know what you're doing, but we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I still really think that Thors was not going to walk out of this alive. Like, even though he lost the duel. I guess, you know, he's being honorable, he's trying to save the other people around him, and that's why he challenges Askeladd to a duel. And he's like, he'll let them go if I win. And he wins, and Askeladd's like, well, we had one goal, though. And, like, this was for fun, this duel. You won, so I'll let them go. We still need to kill you. Like, we can't just not do that.
Yeah, it's true. I guess I'm just still, like, trusting the word of Thorfinn that he would have been able to make it out if he wasn't distracted by his son being held hostage. But I don't know. Maybe there isn't a way for him to get past those archers, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We forgot about that. That was rough. Yeah,
well, if he didn't have his son there, he would have had the other guys still there. And those guys are not useful. Fortunately.
I will say, I think knowing what was going to happen added more, like, anticipation in that part of the
well, yeah, because they keep almost doing it and then, like, walking away from it, and they're like, oh, but he won. Oh, but, you know, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
Very good suspension.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah, definitely more suspense than mystery.
Yeah.
I do think that's interesting. I think, Jake, you're the one who said that Floki is the most interesting character. And I'm like, well, is he just going to become, like, not interesting once we figure out why he did it? Is just some reason, like, you stepped on my toe 5 years ago or something.
I don't know. I imagine there's probably going to be some, like, other person who hired Floki to hire Askeladd to get Thors for some reason.
International intrigue.
Gotcha.
Probably something Thors did when he was still a Yams Viking on some raid before he learned to, like, that I guess the world is bigger than... I don't know. There's a problem I have with Viking philosophy that maybe we'll get into later. But, yeah, if I had to guess, it's probably... Yeah, somebody survived some raid that they did, and Thor did something, like, super bad to, like, earn him the name the Troll, and then the person who survived that hired Floki, I guess.
Okay.
It's hard to tell with Floki. It's hard to tell whether it's personal or not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit of both.
Maybe. Yeah, like, I mean, one thing is, like, I don't know, like, I could even see Floki just, like, having a vested interest in maintaining the status quo of, like, you know, the military power of the Vikings, you know, rather than, like, going for a more peaceful option, you know, and like, having, like, acceptable, or having it be acceptable to desert, you know.
Okay, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's quite dramatic enough to drive a main character, so it's probably a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
But still, somebody gave him the information that Thors is alive.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
what if
it's Halfdan all along?
What if it was just like Thors was just walking around the market, and then Floki was there, and he's like, "Hey, look at that."
No. Thors stays on...
He doesn't go to the market. Yeah. Leaf is the one who goes to the market.
Gotcha. No, so, wait.
What if it's just Leaf? Just Leaf being like, yeah, my friend Thor is back there.
Yeah.
They're like, which village? He's like, that one over there. Just go south.
No, Leafs hates Thors. He's actually the big bad.
The one historical character. Other than the king and everybody else.
I will say, like, when I saw it was Leif Erikson, I was like, wait, what? That's a, like, actual historical figure. What is going on right now?
I don't know. It is interesting because this is, like, very, not historically accurate, but it's not, like, super magical or mystical, and it doesn't, like, take the opportunity to throw in a bunch of, like, weird elements. Like, it's very grounded. Like, even, like, in the first chapter, where it's like, oh yeah, you can't bring boats into this fight because there's waterfalls.
Oh my god.
It's just like, just carry your boat over land. That's a tactic that Vikings used in battles.
Man, I just thought that was
so
cool.
It's like... It's just, like, it's weird the amount of, like, historical credit this book technically gets for not, like, cranking it all up to 11, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's nice about the characters, for sure, like, the grounded aspect, like, and I feel like we keep saying, like, oh, so-and-so is a princess, so-and-so is, like, this big person, but no, they're all just, like, a lot of them are just villagers trying to live their everyday life. And, you know, getting dragged into battle. And then, of course, the mercenaries. The big bad Jorm.
Yeah, no, Gorm is completely out of my memory. I don't remember this guy at all.
I just said Gorm when I meant Jom. Warriors of Jom.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
The Jom's Vikings. Which is also a thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, also a real, like, group of Vikings that were around. I don't know if they were as stoic as they were portrayed in this book. Because, like, normally Vikings are very good to have at a party. I'm going to say with a question mark at the end.
I mean, like, Askeladd's guys, they definitely got to show, like, the difference between the two. You can't just be friends.
I think I remember reading that the Jom's Vikings were, like, like so elite that there's some question as to whether or not they exist, or no, lack of first-person evidence. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that just means they murdered everybody they met.
Yeah.
That's
We can say the same thing about dragons then.
well. Do you want to live in a world where dragons lived or not?
I think if they kill everybody that they meet, then not.
I guess, yeah.
At least the Joms Vikings have an expiration date that has passed.
That's true.
But yeah, interesting. Okay, this is what I was gonna say. So, like, yeah, I think that the historical credit just like aids the drama of the story. It's like things were dramatic back then because they were life and death, you know, and it's like it doesn't really, it only aids your story to have those kinds of problems and stuff, and it's like, yeah, they could crank it up to 11 and be all like, who cares about waterfalls? We're jumping the waterfalls. But it's like, well, that doesn't establish a problem that they have to solve then, I mean, I guess it is that I did just come up with a solution for the problem, but I don't know. I think that carrying the boats makes more sense, and it's cool in its own right.
So what do you think happened to the people on the boat? Did they just like go back to Reykjavik and was like, yeah, we lost Thors, and then moved on with their life, or
no? They had to
and Thorfinn.
They had to take
and Thorfinn.
They had to take his head and bring it to the king, so that they could say that he didn't just not listen to his orders, but he was killed by bandits.
Was that Thors who told him to do that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else the village would suffer if it wasn't if they thought he deserted again.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure Thorfinn goes back to his village eventually. I don't think they're doing good, man. Halfdan being like, "Oh, you don't have that huge warrior to like protect you all and like
I don't have
pay me off.
I don't have to.
This is
respect
my
anybody.
land now."
Yeah.
There's no one I have to respect now.
Yeah, definitely.
Didn't even respect him. He just wanted to
well, no, see, like
comes in swinging that chain again.
But like when he entered the house, he was like, "Sorry for the intrusion," you know.
Oh, that was nice of him.
Yeah.
I guess.
Slams open door. Sorry, but I'm here.
Yeah. Also, so that does bring up a confusion that I had, because I thought that Thorfinn had actually somehow managed to stow away on Askeladd's ship or something after Leif and the rest left.
But no, they took Thor's nice ship.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. So that they talk about it later, like when they have, in the present day, they're like, "Oh, he's out there guarding that ship." I mean, it was his dad's ship after all, is what they say.
Okay.
So,
but he
just stayed on that ship. So he stowed away again, I guess.
Yeah. Which, man, bad babysitter, Leif. Like, I mean.
I don't know. Leif doesn't seem like the most trustworthy of people.
I don't think he has bad intentions, but yeah, I don't think any of them are equipped to like look after a little kid.
Yeah. Gosh.
They sure weren't good at just sensing like some kids on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, "Man, where did he go?" He's like, "Hey," he's like, "Okay, we're gone," and then he's just like, "So we can't go back, huh?"
Yeah, I guess.
Wait, who said that?
Because he calls him father.
Yeah. Oh no! Wait, I thought he was like, "Yeah, we can't." Wait, what?
Yeah. Definitely, and then just pops out of the barrel. I need to go to the bathroom. Gosh, yeah. That part did surprise me though. Like, I mean, I didn't think that he was gonna stow away on the boat. I thought that, I took the story as word. I was like, yep, he's sulking,
Yeah.
He's not gonna see his father off, and he's gonna regret that he didn't see his dad, and then his dad's gonna die. It's like, oh, okay, he gets to see his dad die. Arguably worse.
Yeah.
So I don't think he necessarily thinks of it as like it's very much he did not help in the fight and reason why his dad died. Like we were saying, he makes himself an easy target to like manipulate his father. But I do think Askeladd's gonna throw that back in his face if he gets the chance to. Especially if he gets beaten down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have evidence that he's done it already, right? Like, that's how he beat him in the first place. He just, like, struck a nerve.
That's true.
Yeah. Man. Do you think that, like, when it comes to the time, do you think that Thorfinn is going to kill Askeladd? Or do you think he's going to find another way, like Thors kind of tried to do?
I wonder if somebody else is going to kill Askeladd. And Thorfinn's going to be like, darn it, now I have to kill you.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
It's like, I gotta get revenge on somebody.
I think Thorfinn is just so busy hating Askeladd that he's too busy to hate himself. I mean, he still obviously, becomes emotional when Askeladd provokes him, but I think Askeladd's unfortunately a good distraction mechanism, I guess, at some point.
Instead of him blaming himself for his father's death?
Yeah. He has a reason to keep going.
Honestly, like, I feel like his hatred of Askeladd is legitimate. Like, I mean, so, like, usually when I hear people talk about, like, oh, you're hating somebody else instead of, yourself, like, you're kind of venting that frustration on somebody, like, it's undue.
Right, yeah.
You can do both, though, I think.
Okay.
I think the problem is he's gotten so used to hating something with all his heart that, like, what's he gonna do when he doesn't have that anymore?
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might be basing it too much off of, like, what I know how he thinks when he's older.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good assessment, though. I could definitely see that.
Yeah. I will say, like, I think this is, like, a Batman move where, like, later Askeladd's like, so how many people we got, like, how many people injured and how many dead? And he's like, no one died. He's like, what? So, like,
why would somebody do that?
Well, it's like all that damage and he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, definitely not the norm for Askeladd. And I guess I could see how that might be something that would come up with Batman. Lots of Batman connections today.
I don't know. I've watched Batman throw a few people off a building.
Hey, he caught him.
Don't worry.
Like, I don't know. I just remember the movies where it's like he lets them go down like an elevator shaft. I'm like, I don't think they survived that, Batman.
Yeah, I think that's the line as well. Like, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm not going to save you or something.
I can't wait for that line to be iconic.
Is it? I think it's iconic.
You think so? All right, cool.
That movie came out like almost 20 years ago now.
Its time is coming soon.
Yeah.
I guess Thor's is along the same thing, right? Like, the dude who's on the berserker mushroom, he just chucks him off the ship. It's like, how else do you deal with it? Yeah. And so everybody's, all his friends, of course, pull him out, or just, like, trying to resuscitate him and get the water out of his system.
Which he does survive. He's all like, oh, what happened?
And he's like, This is no time for jokes.
Is that Berserker? Sorry, Talon. Is that Berserker still around in the modern day in like Askeladd's crew? Because I don't remember seeing him
yet.
Mm. Although,
do you think that was
10 years? So,
do you think that was Thorfinn's like first step in the revenge journey? Where it's like, yeah, you killed my dad, but you took me hostage first, so I have to take care of you.
Yeah, that was something that I had a question about too. I forgot, honestly, but I was kind of like, what happened to that guy? You know, you just like kind of just stare at him angrily, but like, yeah. So,
I think like I keep forgetting this, but like it's been 10 years. Their lives are not easy. I feel like some of them are starting to feel this like aging.
Yeah.
Yeah, Askeladd's like, huh? I don't remember as good as I used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I kind of feel like maybe there's like not necessarily another time jump, but like it's gonna be so long till Thorfinn gets to the point where he's able to take on Askeladd, and it's just kind of like, oh, he's just old and feeble. Like, there's nothing to this.
I don't know. I mean, Askeladd saying that comment of like, oh, I don't remember as well. I think that was mostly just him being an asshole.
Oh, gotcha.
Where he was like, because you know, he's like, oh, I've killed so many people.
Yeah.
Who's your father? Just another dude.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, obviously he was impressed by like Thors the troll.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. I do like the idea of the story going like, you know, I mean, it's called a saga, and it's like kind of invoking the what is it? The there's of course
Odyssey?
What is it?
The Odyssey?
No, not the Odyssey. It's the famous Norse one with
Beowulf.
Beowulf, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then there's Beowulf, and then there's the other one that you know, is kind of like with the Ride of the Valkyries and stuff like that. The and the sword that Excalibur is based on. I can't remember all the details.
Oh, well, that's Arthurian legend.
No.
You're just talking about the Lady of the Lake?
No, okay. I don't remember enough of the details to fill you guys in, but basically I'm
surprised you got any guesses.
But basically, Arthurian legend was based on this old Viking story that I don't remember enough to name, but yes, also Beowulf.
Iconic.
Yeah. But also Beowulf works for this example where it's like, you know, these sagas are, you know, from early, you know, adulthood to, you know, late agedness. So I think that it would make sense that that's how we would follow Thorfinn on his journey too. And so yeah, I think that would be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's another aspect of like the groundedness, right? Like I do appreciate that. Like they could have easily been like, and here's his first year with Askeladd as like a kid, and by the end he'll kill him, which is just like unrealistic.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so after Thors died, do we assume that he joined Askeladd's crew? Because I didn't assume that, and I'm wondering if you guys are thinking of that thought.
I mean, he probably had to do something, otherwise they were like, we're gonna throw you overboard, you know.
So your reference to Star-Lord and Yondu makes more sense now.
Oh, okay.
If that's what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit it's not a strong reference. It's still not strong, but yeah, that is part of where I was going with it.
Yeah, because I thought it was more like he trained so that he could be good enough to join his crew.
No.
Not that. Oh no, they took him as a kid.
Yeah, Well, I mean, he
Yeah.
stowed away on the ship that they left, Thor's ship. You know.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, that's how it worked out.
I don't know. Maybe he's just entertaining enough.
Yeah.
He's gonna fight us.
They just keep him around.
Well, yeah.
Kick his ass.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
And then eventually he becomes so good that it's like, you know, he's really an asset to the crew, you know.
Yeah.
Keeps sending him on these suicide missions, but he keeps coming back.
It's like, oh no, I've accidentally trained the person who will one day kill me.
I've accidentally trained the perfect warrior.
I don't know why that reminded me of another story of not Odysseus. Is it? No.
I don't know.
The guy that got with his mother
Oh yeah,
and killed
yeah.
his dad.
How did I know that you were
Yeah.
talking about that? I'm just thinking to myself. He's
Oedipus.
Oedipus.
Yes.
Oedipus? Okay, yeah.
I keep on saying Orpheus.
But I guess that's a little different in that, like,
Yeah.
that's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess also Thorfinn is, like, trying to self-fulfill a prophecy. But I
Yeah.
think that's just, like, self-actualization. He's setting a goal and achieving it.
Yeah, that's
Specifically murder.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. You need some element of magic in order to have a self-fulfilling prophecy, or a
Gotcha.
prophecy at all.
Like,
Yeah,
if
we
it
don't have
turned
any,
out-
like, prophecies so far.
If it turned out that Askeladd was actually his dad, then that would be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I don't think so though, because there
So
isn't
dumb.
any prophecy.
No, that would be more like
I
Oedipus.
guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then that's like, I want to get revenge on the person who killed my dad, but I actually just killed my
Yeah.
dad. How do I get revenge on myself?
Mm.
So dumb. I hate that. God, don't do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're like Oedipus, then he just stabs out his eyes.
Yeah. That's the
Oh,
way to
yeah.
go.
Well, no, he doesn't do that because he killed his dad. He did that because he slept with his mom.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
killing his dad is just a cool thing
he,
to do.
He got with his mom because he killed his dad.
Well, yeah. So I guess that's what.
No,
you
he
do.
didn't say, man, I've just killed my father. Better sleep with, like,
No.
his
Right.
marriage partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like,
No,
yeah,
it was-
it's not the ancient Greek equivalent of like spiking the football after you scored the goal. It's
Not,
a little different.
it's I killed him. Now what is his is mine.
No, that's not how it went, because I think that at least the reading that I did, it was just coincidence. He went into the village, and then not the village, the city, and it was all like, oh, well, you know, I'm sorry that your husband died. I don't know who did that. And but
honestly, like
I read a different one.
I still am like, so that's your dad. How did you not notice that your mother was old? I'm just like,
I mean that they
Okay,
Mother was
so,
old.
all right, to go off track, if we're just going to explain the plot of Oedipus, Oedipus's mom and dad were given a prophecy that their son would kill them.
Mhm.
So to avoid that happening, Oedipus's dad sent him away, basically. Like, I think tossed him in a river or something, and then Oedipus was picked up by another family
Mhm.
and was brought up to believe that they were their family
Mhm.
until, come of age, told that you were found in a river, etc.
Mhm.
Try to find your family, find the king who you don't know is your dad at the crossing. Something happens, some like affront, and then you kill your dad.
Mhm.
Even though you don't know the prophecy, you just fulfilled it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that's the one I read.
end up sleeping with your mom, etc., etc. Meet like the old oracle who told you like way back when, and then it's like, oh, you're
Like,
the
"Ha,
son.
you did
That's
it."
your mom.
Mhm.
Deal with that how you will.
Yeah.
And
So he
how they
takes
do
out
it
his
is-
eyes.
yeah, Oedipus tears out his eyes and wanders the countryside for the rest of his life. His mom kills herself.
Oh.
Mhm.
And then there's a sister involved, and that's where you get Antigone.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what Antigone's deal is.
She
Yeah.
wants to bury her brother properly.
Maybe.
Was that it?
Maybe.
Is that the one?
That's Oedipus in a nutshell.
Mhm.
English majors, feel free to correct us.
Now you're making me think of.
I mean, that's the one I read, so.
Yeah. That's basically how it happened, probably. Anyway.
Too long.
We're not here to talk about anime.
We aren't.
So,
Alright.
you guys like the art? How do you feel about the art?
Art was
Yeah,
good.
art
I
was
liked
good.
it.
That.
Yeah. It was really good, you know. And I think that, you know, they what's the term, like, other than obviously like backgrounds? Like there's
The foreground.
no, not the foreground. Just
Negative space.
No, I just mean like whatever they did well with the backgrounds, you know. Sometimes they will just like
Oh, the environments.
yeah, in the environments, you know. And like it's funny because I am looking at some of them for reference, and I'm like, not all of them are super high detailed. Some of them are really just blank in the background, and some of them, like this one, is actually like they really just like left kind of like almost a white glow around like the characters in the foreground, and so that they didn't have to complete the characters in the background kind of thing. But I mean, still, it's like it at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, you know. And so yeah, I just think that a lot of like what they did, like, you know, like texture. I guess, yeah, that's really what I was looking for. And I eventually found was that a lot of the background texture was good.
Yeah, I will, to piggyback off of Cody's point, it does feel like the places that the characters are feel like real places that real people would be. And that's good, because there's a lot of times where it feels like if you just like end up in a room, or, you know, every room feels like it cuts off like 2 feet above the characters' heads. Like, if you ever see like behind the scenes photos of like sitcoms and stuff, it's like they never feel like real rooms, because they aren't, because there's no hallway out there. There is no, like, the fourth wall is really just the camera. It doesn't feel like there is actually a wall that you're sitting like and taking away, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they have a few, I don't know if the books you guys read had it, where they had a few interstitial parts showing, like, they planned out the layouts. Yeah, pretty good.
I will say, like, that reminded me of, like, when you get single issue comics and there's, like, a little, like, thing at the end or in the middle where it's just, like, this really wacky cartoon. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty... Yeah, the little, it's canon, but it's like a jokey little strip of the characters. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I didn't look for this specific one, but yeah, these are usually released as like chapters too, so those are probably for that.
Yeah. I will say, I don't like them.
Oh, you don't, at all, or in this?
At all.
Okay, at all.
I like them in some comics. I don't know. They aren't too bad in this one. I like them in Full Metal Alchemist a lot.
Ooh, yeah.
But I do like... I think my favorite one out of these ones is the hero exploits a Viking girl, Ylva.
Yeah.
She's just like on the dock, sighing, and they're like, a young lady sighing, you know, looking at the sea, and she's like thinking about all her exploits she could be making. Money.
That was good. I will admit that, like, when I was reading that, I had to, like, go back through it, because I was, like, basically there was, like, a little note at the bottom where the author was like, I have a new respect for 4-panel artists, you know, and I was like, oh, I bet this will make a lot more sense if I read this in the correct direction, because, like, you know, you're supposed to read... Like, because, like, I'm already, like, as a Western reader, I'm already reading, to me, backwards, you know? And then reading manga. And then, like, so I'm like, okay, so now we're going down, but on the right-hand side, not the left-hand side, and then over to the left and down. And so, like...
Oh, gotcha.
So it's like, at first, like, it made enough sense just reading them in an order. But then I was like, this makes more sense when I read it in the correct order.
I thought it was funny, like, the second interstitial was like, I ran out of ideas for Ylva, so here you go.
Wait, which one?
The second one. So it was like the story with, I'm assuming the actual artist and his travels with his wife.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah. That was funny too that they missed the aurora.
Mm-hmm.
Right when they were eating. Yeah, the amount of time that passed in that one also like kind of like confused me because I was like, oh, it's the same day. They said that they were hungry and then they're getting food and then they missed it. I was a little bit like shocked. I was like, oh, I thought that it was like the daytime or something. But yeah. I thought that those were fun anyway.
Did you guys read the bonus?
I think I read most of it.
I feel like
That's the samurai one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like, why did I?
Yeah, I mean,
I read it and I was interested in how compelled I was, even though there's like no action or any reason like to be compelled necessarily.
Gotcha.
yeah, I will say I definitely like went in and I was like, I don't need to read this. This isn't like like it's not going to like suddenly relate to Vinland Saga.
Yeah. It relates to the artist.
Right.
That's me.
Yeah, although I'm like, when was this period of Japan? That would be funny if they tried to.
Oh, yeah.
But no, yeah, but I was, it was all right. I think I was kind of like, I read a big chunk of Vinland Saga though, so I was kind of just like, like I'm reading this for some reason, but maybe if I had broken it up a little bit more.
I got to this part on the bus, like just before the bus dropped me off, and I was like, I gotta finish it.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. 10 minutes before we met, I finished it. I got up an hour before, and I was like, oh, I need to eat and read this. Reread it all.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm glad I read it, though, because, like, if you get to, like, the very end of the book, you get some very nice photos of the author in, like, full Viking regalia as he goes to pick up some award for this book.
Ah, man.
And those are very fun.
My copy did not include that, so that's...
I don't think I did either.
Japan Media's Arts Award Grand Prize for Manga.
That's cool.
Those were very charming. I liked it.
Oh my god, I was just looking at the book. This is the same guy who did Planetays. That's my next book choice for us.
Oh, gotcha.
All right.
I did not recognize. I should have known by the art style. Oh my god.
Well, cool. Yeah, that will be in the next, 3 weeks.
Some of it.
4 weeks. I don't know how to count.
I will say I like in the at the end where it's like translation notes. That was very informative.
Oh yeah. Man.
Ouroboros.
Yeah, that was cool. And it was funny because I had learned at some point in my education that they had the events called things. But when I read that, I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And then it dawned on me. I was like, "I've learned about this before."
No, so in the middle of the story, there was we got that thing, and then it's that note where it's things is an assembly in Viking, and I was like, "You're lying."
I was like, "Why don't you just say assembly?"
And then he said it twice in the translation notes. I was like, "Okay, all right." I submit it's a thing.
And they got the all thing.
Yeah. Like the All Father. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not Marvel.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, all the words had to come from somewhere, so I'm not going to begrudge them.
Yeah. That is just so funny that it's thing is that old, and it's totally different now.
I mean, yeah, we'd have to get is it entomologist or is that the bug one?
Etymologist. No N.
Okay.
Etymologist. Okay.
Anyway, we got to get.
I'm pretty sure.
So, would you guys read more of it?
No.
I would consider it. I'll probably check out the anime.
The anime
Yeah,
goes farther than Volume 1, so.
Yeah, probably in a similar boat to Cody. Like, I am interested, but I do kind of want to, like, see where it goes from, like, where we stop in the present day to see the flashback makes sense. And then where the flashback ends makes sense to catch back up to present day. And so, like, I am interested in see, like, what the next step for, like, the modern story is.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they keep it in flashback, like, maybe to see
Longer.
what happens to, like, the rest of the crew, or what happens in the village once they learn that Thors has died. That could be where it goes next, maybe. But I'm just interested enough that I might check it out. But I'd be more interested if I knew it immediately went to, like, the next thing in present day.
Gotcha.
Instead of just continuing to catch us up.
Yeah, that with I'll piggyback on your piggyback, Jake. That I think that's one thing that I would have appreciated if the ending had done was like just take like one page to set us up for what's going to happen next. Where it's like cliffhang us a little bit. Because just ending at the end of a flashback, it's like maybe we're gonna continue flashbacking. We haven't necessarily established that we're back in the present day. It just makes sense that we would come back to the present day after this.
Yeah.
So it's like I wish that they would have like truly established that for one page and set up maybe a problem for Thorfinn.
Yeah, because they did that at the end of chapter 2. Before they went in chapter 3, it was like, oh yeah, so we're here 10 years earlier.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, it's a small complaint. It's not.
Yeah.
So for you, Talon, just not into Vikings?
I'd say I'm just not into the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
just I guess the main character, and
yeah, I mean, I just say like overall like it just didn't really grab me, I was like, all right, I just want to get through this. Like, I don't mean to say like I thought the book was bad. It just wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah, just not for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think like if I had not seen the future stuff of him as an adult and talking to certain characters about like what he's learned from it, I don't know if I would have been as involved because these revenge stories are just it's such single emotion. Like as much as I see other people trying to push him to like think with nuance, at the moment he is not very much. So
gotcha.
It's a lot to do that's a lot to like keep going after 500 pages.
Yeah.
But I have bought volume 2 already and I still need to read it because I'm too excited to read it, so I haven't.
Gotcha.
I will say
I think it's pretty enough to buy in print though.
Oh, gotcha. I do like the Viking references though. I was just like, Brothers of Metal trained me well for this. Yeah, again, my thing. Apparently, you guys don't listen to power metal. I see.
Not currently, no. I will say though that I also I like learning from my fiction because I don't often. Well, I don't know. Sometimes I take up a special interest on something, but for the most part, it's like, hey, 2 for 1. I can get a story and learn something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I do like the fact that Vinland Saga feels trustworthy enough that I don't feel like they're totally, pushing outside the boundaries of what would have been possible. Like we said again, grounded.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to probably wrap us up for this episode. So, until next time, I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shoenta.
And this has been the Comic Panel. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. You can catch us Mondays, 5 to 7 p.m. on KSUA 91.5 FM, The People's Radio. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Comic Panel, It's Comic Time. Follow us on Instagram at _comic_panel, like our Facebook page at It's Comic Time. You can also listen to us in podcast form on Apple Music, Spotify, and Podbean at The Comic Panel Podcast. Have a great rest of your day.